Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. Today we'll be talking about emotional mastery, also known as Stoicism. Contrary to popular belief, Stoicism is not about not feeling anything or just being ice cold at all times. No, it is about emotional control. But funnily enough, it is when we actively try to control our emotions by avoiding them, running from them, denying them, shutting them down, that they actually control us without us even knowing many times. While Stoicism is emotional control through fully embracing what you feel so that you can process it and let it go. Alright? It's funny, a lot of guys think they are stoic when they're actually emotionally numb because they were too afraid to feel the difficult feelings they needed to feel in order to process and move on. They instead shut it down as a protective mechanism. And it's funny because many men mistake their emotional numbness for some sort of masculinity. I'm just bulletproof, nothing gets to me. Well, it's because you didn't dare to let it get to you that you become like a rock now. That's not manly. Manly would be to embrace those tough feelings of being sad, feeling shame, guilt, all right? Allowing yourself to feel that so you can actually process it, move on, rise again, right? So I'm going to tell you some stories about different times I've dealt with emotions in a better or worse way. And it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about it before this video, how you level up at this. Like you master emotions one at a time, pretty much. So let's start here with anxiety and nervousness, right? So before I had those panic attacks 6 years ago, I was generally a much more anxious and nervous person, but there are still traits that it's in me, like those two types of feelings can come up in me. But so the biggest issue I had from this was stage fright. I knew that I'm good at something like this, standing in front of a crowd, speaking or performing. I have a singing background. But because of trauma we don't have to go into, I was very, very afraid of those situations. Ultimately, I had a fear of being seen for who I am and rejected and abandoned if people could see how nervous I was. So I had a very difficult relationship to these things. Because on the one hand, I think I'm good at being the center of attention, delivering something in front of people. So I want to do it. On the other hand, I'm so terrified by it, right? So, but this led to me sometimes running from it, but I want to try to put myself in these situations. But every time, if I know that something like this is going to happen, I get nervous. And that's the dirty feeling that I can't feel that, right? So I try. No, you can't feel that now. No, I'm getting more nervous. It's not good. This needs to disappear now before I go on stage or whatever the thing is I'm going to do, because I need to feel better, or else I'm not going to be able to perform. And of course, that's the funny thing with us human beings. Our ego wants to control things, and even things we cannot control. And we end up being like, imagine like a bear that got trapped in one of those traps and is trying to get loose by just yanking it all over the place. Ends up just hurting their limb that's stuck in the trap even more, and they're even more stuck now. You do the same to yourself when you try to control emotions that you cannot control. So yes, in the past, I would always get super nervous, just like I didn't want to. The thing I tried to make myself not to be, I ended up amplifying times 100, right? And so now I can still, for different types of performance situations, get that kind of nervousness. I'm going to be watched. But I've learned to deal with it I deal with it a completely opposite way now. So I'll give you an example. It's a story of when I was working in a gym. I was PTing, but in the summer I would take some shifts just standing in the reception. And so there were going to be group training classes. And usually if someone is sick, it's very easy to find someone to fill in. But now the group training instructor was sick, and it was with short notice and in the summer when a lot of people are away on break. And then the last line of defense against this, that is the person that's standing in the reception just has to do this. And look, I'm a trainer, but I've never done group training stuff like that. I don't know the choreography for it. I do not know the technology of, I'm going to wear a headset and have speakers and stuff. So when I realized that this might have to fall on me, I feel that like, okay, now I'm nervous, realizing all these things. Okay, I'm going to have to do something I'm not used to doing in front of a lot of people. I feel that feeling. But now, instead of what I would always do before, and like deny it, no, I'm gonna have to do this, so I have to be calm, can't be feeling like that, and just then reacting to noticing that I got even more nervous, reacting in that negative loop. Now, what I instead did was noticing that, I got nervous from this. Well, like I've learned many times before, there's an opportunity to grow here. Like that's the parenthesis, because I've talked to you guys about making that association. When you get nervous, that it's an opportunity to grow. But it's like, apparently I'm nervous. Okay, that's really the process. Just observing it, just noticing it, not fighting it. All right? And that's how I didn't get more nervous from that point. I just felt that initial sting of being nervous, and now I'm actually like problem solving oriented. Like, okay, need to find a script for this workout. I gotta go look at the speaker, and I'm gonna have to. There was 2 classes I would have to do. One in the like a room, and one on like treadmills, running class. Like I've done none of this. So I started to get prepared for it, and when it's about to start soon, I'm actually more like excited. Do you know that, by the way? That being nervous and being excited, it's the exact same thing in the nervous system. It's just about what thoughts you're thinking, really. But now, then some temp actually showed up last minute. I didn't end up having to do it, and I was almost sad by it at that point. But you see, because instead of trying to control it, I just let myself be slightly nervous, and then I gained control in the sense that, well, I wouldn't have been able to remove all nerves anyway, so I gained the most control I ever could have by just allowing myself to be nervous. And in the end, it actually transformed to excitement and me being disappointed of not getting to do this thing, right? So another thing would be, just grief. Grief is, it's a scary feeling for a lot of people to feel, because it's associated with something. It's like, it's an intense feeling, but it's as if you allow yourself to grieve, it's like an acceptance. And whatever horrible thing you're actually in denial over, so you actually need to grieve and let that out so you can process and accept it. That's what you're afraid to do. You're holding on. You don't want to let go, or whatever, if it was a relationship or someone that passed away or whatever else you have to mourn, grieve the loss of in your life. It's as if you allow yourself to just cry over it. It means that it's true. But of course, if you have this need, it is true anyway. But you're just scared. You're scared of accepting that. And so I'll tell you about the time, 2 times when I dealt with this in a very bad way. First in a bad way and then in a good way. So I mentioned to you guys that I've been involved with this girl throughout these years, on and off. I love her very much. We're not together right now. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm feeling okay about it now. But I'm going to get to how part of this emotional mastery is part of that. But because we've been involved on and off, it's distance, there's been a lot of complications that I can't go into, right? But there was one point last year when that's a point when we, at the time, agreed that we have to go separate way, or not even agreed. It's like it's more coming from her. For me, it's more like I know this, but yeah. And so I could sense. I remember that I could sense that. Wow, the grief is knocking on the door. Now I just want to cry my eyes out. I'm so sad over all this hell we've been through, and like, is it really not going to work out, But I was too afraid to go there. I was in Greece at the time, by myself. I was afraid of going there. What ended up happening instead was that I turned into a complete zombie. So yeah, I didn't cry, I didn't feel that intensity. Instead I felt like nothing, but feeling nothing is a feeling in and of itself. It's not a good feeling. Like you feel like a complete zombie, looking forward to nothing. Nothing is giving you joy. Nothing is interesting, even, And I had to deal with this now. I spent the majority of at least the first half of last year in a completely shut down state. A lot because of this. But if I had allowed myself to really grieve that fuck, it went to hell. Like I didn't want it to at that time. But it did. And just cried my eyes out for a day, maybe 2. I would have been feeling all right about it. And I know this because it's not the same thing, but that was something, one of many lessons I brought with me from last year was that, okay, I need to allow myself to feel feelings, because I knew, even when I was numb there, it was like there was no turning back. It's like, fuck, I should have just cried. I should have just been sad, because I am stuck in this emotional, many people that feel emotionally numb, they feel stuck in it. That's the risk, that, you couldn't handle your emotions, you didn't deal with them, so you just go into some permanent, just like, numb state. It completely sucks. So I could know even that was going on. Well, and just regret my choice, but I had to just like, okay, I'll take that with me to the future. So, same girl. Things were better, but then she has some difficulties in her life, and it led her to act in some ways that weren't like, she's not trying to hurt me, but it's kind of unfair to me. I get some shit because she's not doing well. Like, not shit from her, but indirectly, if you see what I mean. And so one time she told me this, like after things had been a little messy for a while, she told me how, like, I need to take time for myself and do this and this and that, and tell you everything that's going on. And for me it was difficult because, on the one hand, I feel hurt and sad, but also, when the person hasn't really done anything wrong to you, I feel bad for her. I understand her, So it becomes this mix of, I think, that many men can feel. Like, you feel like pathetic weak, that you can feel like sad over a girl. Like, I should be bigger, more man than that, But also the other part that, I feel pathetic, that I know what she's going through, I shouldn't have to be feeling sad for this. But that's, of course, my old trauma from with my little autistic brother. I'm going to bring up another example with that, but I was always told when we were fighting over very unreasonable things, not like the typical sibling fights, I was always told, that you're the stronger one, he can't help it, so you need to suck it up. And that sits very deep in me, that if I understand that someone is having a worse time than me, it's like it's not okay that I am having a bad time. But so when I was here, like, getting these news, and like, what I ended up at was that, I understand it sucks for her, but you know what? It sucks for me too. And it's completely okay that I feel that way. Instead of making it dirty, like I should be stronger, both a girl shouldn't affect me, or when I know she's having, I should just be able to, like that. But I allowed myself to accept both. And I actually just cried over the difficulty over this, feeling helpless. Feeling sad, feeling hurt. It's unfair, And I just allow that, and I was a great inner parent to myself. I never done this before. I actually put on music that makes me emotional, and just cried. And it was as if I was holding myself in my own arms, And you know what? That even if I felt very sad during that, already the next day I felt good. And there would come little moments for the days when I'm like, I don't need to cry necessarily anymore, but maybe just a little bit. Turn on a bit more nice romantic barbershop ballads and cry a little bit. It didn't take me many days of this until I actually accepted the situation as it is, and that's why I've been doing so well now. I could have easily, if I had dealt with it as poorly as I had in the past, I could have gone into a completely shut down state again, right? And so there are two more things I want to take here. So about anxiety, like it seems like too strong of a word for me to say now. Like when my big abandonment wound, when things again in a relationship has been very challenging, yes, then I've been anxious as hell. And that's really the feeling I think of as anxiety, because I've dealt with very intense anxiety in my life. Now I don't really get that anymore, but I can still, like, I guess it's an anxious feeling, like just nervousness, uneasiness, and I can get this sometimes when I'm like overwhelmed by some work things. I need to get these things done today. I don't know quite the order. How will I have time for, when all that stuff comes. And what I've started to do, because a lot of people, this video is going to be my videos get longer and longer. It's like, whatever. So one great way, I think, what is that guy called? Gabor Mate? I don't know how you pronounce his name. But, a feeling like anxiety, like even clients, they often ask me, like, how do I get rid of it, But you have to see it as you have two people in you, sort of. You have the inner parent and the inner child. So the inner parent is that, it's not just awareness, knowing. That's the non-emotional component. But the one feeling all the emotions, that's your inner child. And so imagine a child that's hurting is anxious or sad or scared. What do they want from their parents, really? Well, they just want attention. Like when they're scared, someone that's just relating to them, understanding them, holding space for them to feel this. Many kids, when they start crying, when they hurt themselves, if you just, I babysit some kids, because they're young kids in the family. And if you just come to them and just like, oh, yeah, that hurt, but at least it's not bleeding. Just giving them some attention for that. very soon they're going to be fine and running around and playing more again. It's kind of the same thing with you. When instead of like, this anxiety just needs to... Imagine what a kid would feel like if it were get the energy they're getting from their parent when they're sad or anxious, nervous. It's like, this kid, if they just went away, they would feel terrible about themselves. It's the same thing for you. So what I've done when I start feeling that, instead of like denying it or that this needs to go away or something, I actually, because I'm overwhelmed by the stuff I need to do, so I feel I need to do with this, my instinct, I need to do something, I've actually done the complete opposite. Sit down and just be like, yeah, little fella, you're a little stressed, you're a little overwhelmed, but you've done well. Let's just sit here for a while, Let's just sit for a while and feel our body, Take a break. Is it really that bad? Just give myself a little bit of attention for it. And I rarely need even 10 minutes before I feel calm again. And now I go about things in a calm manner. I get the stuff done. So the last thing would be anger. Okay, anger is for me associated with a lot of shame, right? It's one of the most shameful feelings I feel, and it's again because of this with my brother. I would get very angry. It's completely unfair. Like one thing, for instance, when I was not allowed to lock the bathroom door, which everyone wants to do when they go to the bathroom, but this, for whatever reason that he could never explain today, this triggered him. So I knew I'm in for a beating, if I do this, and I don't want to fight my autistic brother. I'm in this situation so often that I get so angry as a little kid because it's so unfair. And I'm told all the time that you shouldn't. No, he doesn't know better. You need to just So, of course, because I know these things as a smart kid, it does feel dirty. I do feel bad about myself. I shouldn't be angry. He is clearly less capable than me and that. But of course, it's too much responsibility for a little kid. But because of this, I've internalized that anger is a shameful feeling. So when I feel anger, my instinct is that I want to fight it somehow. But this is what I meant in the very beginning, that when you try to control something, that's when it actually runs wild and controls you. Because when I try to not be angry, it's like, no, I'm not. I will become nasty. I will become snappy at people. I will walk around like that. And again, it's funny, I should have talked about this earlier, but this is what we do a lot. We instead of just observing and letting our emotions be there, we try to fight them, and then we react to it when we don't get our way. Like, with the anxious, nervous. I can't be like that now. No, fight it. You can't fight it. Noticing this, you react and get even more nervous, and you go into that loop. Same thing with anger. I don't want to be, I should have just let that go. I don't want to be angry now. Noticing that I'm not letting it go, I'm even more angry. And now because I'm like moving around with this anger, and now I hit my foot on something, I'm angry over that now. While when I just let myself be angry, it's like, okay, I'm a bit on edge now, That's when, yes, I will still have the anger flowing through me, but it would be some like a certain energy, or move around a little bit more like this. Maybe, not, but it won't leak out in that uncontrolled. Maybe someone will just notice that, okay, he's a little bit on edge now, but I won't actually become nasty to others. And this is when I often can channel this anger into something positive, like a workout. Like anxiety and anger, the best things to channel them, transform them into something else is by working out. But I've noticed that when I just let myself be angry like that, it's like, then, it wasn't denied. It's like, all right, I got to be angry for a while, so now I can release it, instead of just fighting it and making it worse and worse and worse. So it ended up being almost a 20-minute video, guys, but I think it's a very important one. With all the messages that get thrown at us these last years about discipline and, fuck your feelings, just do the thing, hard work, grinding, all of that stuff is great, but it's like we're learning to be humans and men again. It's like, yes, we need to be less soft little bitches. However, we do have a soft side within. That's a good kind of softness too. That's actually strong. It's like I'm saying, you don't, I don't want to feel these pathetic emotions of being sad and crying. That my video about should men cry. It's obvious that a lot of men are denying themselves this need that they have as human beings to cry. That's the actual weak. The man does what he needs to do. Right? He whether that feels embarrassing or that's actually strong, to daring to lean into these things. And that's how you stay on top of things most of the time, right? You get the most amount of control by surrendering control. right? Because it's not about, you're not going to be able to 100% control all there is anyway. So just allow what is to be, and then you're not going to build up all these extra things you build up when you actually try to brute force control your emotions like that. So it's going to be super interesting to hear your comments, guys. Please like and comment. Super interesting, always. I love you guys for commenting, by the way. Like, no matter whether you agree or disagree, I'm having such a good time interacting with you guys or just reading your comments. I read almost everything. I respond to a lot, I read almost everything, just so you know, guys. And I do holistic bodybuilding coaching. This is very much part of it. What I'm talking about in this video is a lot because I've talked to clients about it lately. So getting jacked and stacked, mentally, physically, spiritually, body, mind and soul, that's what it's all about. So if you're interested, you can send me a DM on Instagram or email me. It's in the description below. I'll get back to you with my different programs. You can buy my holistic bodybuilding book. It's not a holistic bodybuilding book, actually. I said it wrong, because that would be, it would contain more. It's my bodybuilding. It's a training book. Mindset and training for the physique, becoming the individual that's jacked and stacked. Wow, why am I drawing out on this so much? You know, I have the book. If you just want to support the channel, become a patron or a member, leave a little super thanks comment. Very much appreciated, guys. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Yeah, I'm just being stoic here at the end. Peace.